Hello guys, what is up? This is GalacticElliot. Bring you guys to the GBA. Today we are going to be interviewing the two-time champion of the GBA. We got SceptileMC or George. How you doing, man?
How's it going, man? How are you?
Good. Coach of the San Francisco Arcaniners is coming back to the GBA. Super excited to have you, my man.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here, excited to be back in the GBA after 6 long years.
Absolutely, dude. Could you introduce yourself and the organization and how you feel like going into this season after so many years of being out of the loop?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, for everyone who doesn't know me, I'm SceptileMC or George, coach of the San Francisco Arcaniners. I've been part of the GBA way back when, 7-8 years ago, all the way back into the D League, back around when Season 3 and Season 4 were going on. I was promoted from the D League up in Season 5, and then I was the runner-up in Season 5, and I was champion in Season 6 and Season 7, before I eventually hung up my boots in Season 7.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Yeah, no, I remember you telling me about this a little bit, like while we're preparing for the interview. You're in the GBA D League back then, which is insane to think somebody in the D League went 3 finals in a row in the GBA and like absolutely was crushing it with like Mega Mogwai, Pokemon, like absolutely insane. That's so cool, man.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a crazy experience. It was during the Gen 6, Generation 7 era, and I know I was the only person that refused to use any Z crystals because I didn't want to play through any Sun and Moon. So the entire generation, or the entire season, I just decided I was just going to go through as it was, and it was a super fun experience in my life to go through. And after I heard that Season 10 was going to be relaunching with the timer changing and Scarlet and Violet and everything, I figured, you know what, I think it's time to come back, try to dust off the rust a little bit and see if I can still compete with everyone in the new league.
Yeah, man, I feel like you're gonna do well in this, especially if you won without using any of the like Z moves. Like, how are you feeling about Terra Crystals? Like, is that like gonna be something that you're gonna mess around with, or?
I'm gonna have to, because I feel like Terra is definitely more centralizing than the Z crystals were, and it's something that I still need to get a little bit more used to.
It's crazy, dude. Yeah, it's
my
wild.
competitive experience ever since the GBA was 0 in Gen 8, other than random battles, and 0 in Gen 9, other than random battles and Showdown when I'm bored. So I haven't built a team in a while. I haven't done really too much building in a long time. But I've been starting to watch some videos. I've been trying to get in there, trying to stay up to date with what's happening. And just excited to have fun, try something new, and really bring back the creativity in the builds that I really enjoyed back then.
Absolutely, dude. I'm super excited to see what you got cooking, dude. And I'm not even sure if you even know what you have cooking, but it'll be a lot of fun. I think a lot of people are going to be dusting off the boots. But I think that's the beauty of it. The GBA is back, and in a brand new format, brand new game. Like, it's just so exciting, dude.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's gonna be such a wild ride, and I was always known as the person that over prepped, and because my drafts were never top tier. I was never top tier at drafting, but then I would always find a way to make it work through some very backward strategy. So, and that's what I always loved. I know when way back in, I'm trying to remember the time, I think it was 2016 was the Token Minorities March Madness tournament. And so I ended up winning that tournament in 2016 versus Shoddy. And it went all the way down to the wire, and the last thing was a Trick Room Mega Gardevoir for me that ended up winning the game. And no one ever expected that Trick Room Mega Gardevoir would come out of the woodworks in the finals. And it's fun little sets like that. I've used Natural Gift, Akaberry, Scizor against a Mega Scizor because that was the only way to kill it. There's a lot of fun experiences in the textbooks.
Yeah, you gotta catch the opponent off guard. That's the beauty of it, right? And like, I just remember whenever I used to do like competitive draft league stuff, just making the lower tiers work. Like, I've used like Skuntank with Punishment to like utilize against like a Mega Latias with like Calm Mind, you know, just that kind of stuff. It's just so fun.
Yeah, exactly. And then building for draft is so much more different than it is when like you're trying to build for Smogon tiers or even VGC, because it's such a centralized build where you only have 10 Pokemon to plan for, and you can bring a physical Rotom Wash and it can work, because just in that situation it does. And that's kind of why I loved it so much, and why I was always more driven towards draft rather than the Smogon tiers, even though I was very active and competitive in Smogon as well.
It's just a different story, man. All right, so just curious, could you introduce your assistant coach, someone who I'm actually a huge fan of?
Yeah, so my assistant coach is none other than Haydunn. You guys may know him for the past, decade in PokeTubing, if not longer, honestly. He's been a mainstay in competitive, and Let's Plays and draft as well for, again, the better part of a decade. And he's somebody that I got to know pretty well when I was in the GBA. We were in Season 5 together. And now I just reached out to him after 6 years, and I was like, hey, man, do you want to do it with me? And he, without a shadow of a doubt, was like, let's go for it. And we're super excited. He definitely has more experience in Gen 9 Wi-Fi than I have, so I've been taking his advice on a lot of different things. But me and him are just ready to be as entertaining as possible through this, and we're really looking forward to it.
How do you feel about like assistant coaches being a thing? Because it's like the first time that like we have that in like a draft league, at least from my thought process. I've never seen it before.
Yeah, I think assistant coaches, defining the role is good. Everyone had a front office before, and if you don't know what a front office is, it's basically your own group of friends or PokeTubers that you would kind of collaborate with. And it was fluid. It could be any 1, 2, 3, or 4 people. Mine was typically anywhere from 1 to 3 people that I would, just bounce ideas off of, test with. We would hop on Showdown, do practice battles, and just really have those people to bounce the ideas off of, basically. And now it's kind of defined as that one person, and the front office is now discouraged because everyone has their assistant coach. It's fair. You chose your assistant coach at the start of the season. That's who's going to be your ride or die. You guys are going to go for it. And then there's also a little bit of the responsibility now, which the front office didn't have, is making sure that if I'm not able to battle 1 week because of work, because of real life, because I'm traveling or something like that, that's when Hayden's going to jump in and be like, I'll take on the battle this week and I'm going to play for George. And we all know that there's a backup there, because I think in every season, there's always one week or 2 weeks where there's a coach that through one situation or another couldn't make their battle on time, and it creates a little bit of an awkward situation where, okay, well, how do we go through the next weeks now? We need to make sure people are playing their matches, and I think it's really good contingency for that, while also being able to play with your friends.
Yeah, I think that's dope, and like I think it's always nice to at least have that backup plan. Like, you would like to play every game, but let's say you have an emergency. Like, everyone has a life outside of this. This is for fun. It's not really meant to be something that like takes over our lives or anything like that. But if God forbid something happens, you have your assistant coach to jump in. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, me and him, from what I've seen from his videos, well, we have a little bit of 2 different play styles. So, well, my play style is old. So I definitely have to revisit how I'll be strategizing, how I'll be playing these games. But we've always played a little bit differently. So it's definitely interesting to get that perspective on building, but then that perspective on battling as well.
Yeah, for sure, man. All right, so the next question is, tell me about your draft league story and why did you choose to join the GBA? We kind of like went through this a little bit with like the D League. So why did you choose to join the GBA, I guess, is the better part of that question.
So I chose to join the GBA. Well, at first I was definitely just interested in draft league as a whole. And at the time I had some friends who were already within the GBA. So, I mean, their seasons were filled up. They already had a lot of their members in there. So I was offered the role in the GBA D League. That was my first experience in draft, really. And then after a couple seasons in the D League, the spots opened up in the GBA and they asked anyone in the D League wanted to come up. I was luckily chosen, and then I was moved up for season 5. So it's kind of been the main focus of what my channel used to be back then. I was doing Showdown Lives and I was doing some other tournaments and things like that, but really taking the Draft League created an identity for my channel and the San Francisco Arcaniners. where that was kind of the main focus for a while. And at that time, seasons were happening every 6 months or so. So it was continuous content, continuous, really just a whole bunch of fun.
That's awesome, dude. And here you are now, you know, 2-time champ coming back for season 10 and in a whole entire different setting. Like, that's super awesome. What are you most excited about this season? Like, what's getting you pumped up for this season in particular?
What's really getting me pumped up is just jumping back into competitive.
I think that's the most obvious answer, right? Yeah, I mean, there's not much else.
It's been too long.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the big thing. You're getting back into it. You're getting... You know, I feel like it's going to be really cool to, like, see old faces and new faces, too. I think that's something that, like, is going to be really cool. Like, seeing, like, new Pokemon in action and how do the old Pokemon work. Like, that's going to be really cool.
Exactly. I mean, like, a perfect example is, like, Lars Scizor, the Borussia Donphan. I've played against him in GBA seasons. I've played against him in tournaments. I played against him for 7 years. Like, 7 years ago, I played him. And... so now I get to play him again in this, but then I'm also playing against people like GeneralTarheel, John June. Like, I mean, there's so many different people that I've never played against before, who I've never even seen play before. I don't know their play styles. I don't know how they build. I gotta do a little bit of research into everyone. But then, like, I get to see my friends that I haven't seen in 6 years. So and then see how they've evolved in their play style, see how they've improved and how they draft now versus how they did back then. It's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, that's so dope, dude. I cannot wait. Who are you most looking forward to playing against this season? You kind of mentioned Scizor. Is he the one that you're most interested in playing? Or if you had to pick, who would you be most interested to play against?
Give me a second. I'm scrolling through the coaches real quick.
No pressure.
No pressure is right. I mean, definitely Scizor is up there. I mean, me and him go so way back. Eventually... not in this GBA season, but in another one, I'd like to see Battler X come back. But I think that's a little bit...
That'd be wild. That'd be crazy.
But I know a lot of people are talking about Uzigunner as well, and also Just Weavile.
Yeah, no. Uzi is definitely like someone to look out for. I'm just saying, he's legit. He's sick.
But I'll be completely honest, a lot of the names I didn't know before this season being announced. So when it comes to knowing how they battle, their experience... what their records are in other leagues, it's all a blank slate. So everyone's kind of just on the same playing field, except for Lars. He's a little bit higher, just because I got a little bit of experience with him there.
That's what's up, man. That's awesome. I think that's so exciting. I think that's so cool to, like, have a bunch of new people, old faces, just a good old mix.
Yeah, exactly.
You have something to fight for because you went on a really high note, and you are defending your championship years later out of retirement. So that's like a really unique perspective that not a lot of other people can really say they have. So, like, what if you were to come back after all these years and still win? Like, that would be pretty wild.
That's the goal. I'm gonna keep it first with I've never not made playoffs. So let's first get to playoffs, and then after that, we'll be able to say, we'll be able to go on a run and see if we can take the Arcaniners to another championship.
Why should the fans support your team this season, my dude? Is it, you know, what do you got for the fans of the GBA?
For the fans of the GBA, I mean, with me and Haydunn, we're gonna be bringing some pretty wild builds. We're gonna
I'm already
make sure
a fan, by the way. You don't have to convince me. You say you and Haydunn, and you coming back after years. I'm already a fan. Not gonna lie.
I think there's a story aspect to it all as well, where it's kind of like, you know, it's been so long. It's me and Haydunn, 2-time champion, kind of coming in, but we need to show that we need the first few weeks to go well, because we need to show that we still got it and that we can compete with the new guys coming in. We can compete in the new generation, the new mechanics. So we'll be learning as we go, but we have to hit the ground running, and we got to do it fast. We have to make sure that we're on point with things, because I know the competition in this league, and we'll be knocked out pretty quick if we don't kind of get our shit together.
That's very fair, man. I'm waiting for the documentary, honestly. I'm waiting for that documentary. You know, you got like the crazy like trailer music for the movie with like the crazy bass, like burn dirt. Like I'm just imagining this whole entire scenery, man. Stories being told, like documentary being made, like, you know.
I've thought about it. I've joked when I decided, it was about like a month or two ago, that I was going to be doing GBA season 10. I was like, so how should I like re-announce everything going on? And I haven't done it yet. I haven't done anything on my channel.
Allow me to reintroduce myself.
But I did think, I was like, do I just do like a history video on the Arcaniners? Do I do something else? And it's kind of getting to a point now where I don't even know if I have enough time to do something like that before the start of the season. But you ever see those documentaries on Amazon for like the soccer teams, like Arsenal and things like that?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do like a season like that where I do something about the GBA season 10 and I look back on the history and see what the future has.
All right, so let's get on to the next section, the final section of the interviews. So, what has been your favorite moment in Draft League history?
My favorite moment regarding the Arcaniners, or my favorite moment in general?
I'd just say general, man. I mean, if it's about you, don't feel like you can't talk about yourself. You've had some dope moments, but in general, Draft League history.
That's a really good question, man. It was 6 years ago since I've really stepped in.
This is challenging your memory.
Challenging my memory. Okay, I'll have to, just because obviously like you remember the times that you're involved in more than others.
Yeah, no, I mean, literally, you could talk about that because you've had some dope moments. Like, don't feel like you can't talk about yourself.
Yeah, it definitely. It isn't actually the GBA seasons. It goes back to the Token Minorities tournament, because that was a 256 person tournament. And I remember, because I was a freshman in college and I had taken the entire day alone in my room. I kicked my roommate out and I said, I'm going to be playing Pokemon for 8 hours. Don't judge me and let me sit here and do it. And we got through the pools, we did the brackets, and we got all the way up to the finals. And I think I got crit or something, hacks in some way, or maybe I'm just remembering that wrong, who knows. But it went all the way down to the very last Pokemon, and then out came Trick Room Mega Gardevoir, which was the only set that was going to win me the game at that point. And It came in the last second, and they had a live commentary going on as well in the background. So as soon as I pulled it out, meanwhile, there's 100-something people in the actual Pokemon Showdown game itself. And everyone just starts going crazy as soon as it happens. And I knew at that moment, I was like, as long as he's not Choice Banded Quick Attack on his Terrakion, I win. I win right here, and it's a set. And you only had 10 minutes to prep. So you have to pull him out, because in those tournaments, it's quick between like the rounds, because you have to get through like so many different games. So as soon as one's done, you hop into the other, and you have to change your team really quickly. So it was a spur of the moment decision, and sometimes you just have to roll with your gut. And then that's pretty much, that would probably be that's the peak time. It's the peak time. It didn't go downhill from there, but I don't think it got much better than that.
It's just like a whole entire different experience than like what you would typically be doing in like these types of Draft League situations. But that's a really good answer, dude. I mean, that's hype.
Yeah, of course. Try.
Okay, so now that you mentioned your favorite moments in Draft League history, the next question actually is, what is your favorite GBA memory?
My favorite GBA memory? Winning Season 6 of the GBA, because that was the first one. So it definitely felt like it was, at that point, really deserved, because in the D-League, as well as in GBA, I came so close in Season 5, and I overthought my team build against A-Drive. And then I also, team matchup just was not in my favor. I had such a poor team drafted in Season 5. I was surprised I got as far as I did.
And Dan had a really good team, too. Like, that was not easy.
That was when he was still the St. Louis Rampardos before he switched to the New York Metapods. So I know that that team for Season 5, there was not a Pokemon above a base speed of 100, except for Mega Lopunny, which carried me the entire season. So, and it made everyone was able to run Adamant and Modest Natures and run so low speed against me. It was the worst season ever. But so Season 6, I played versus Cooper in the finals, and that was in 2017, 2016, I think. And it was a really nervy moment. But I think I had a better team matchup, and then I prepped extremely well, and we were able to come out with I think a 2 or 3-0 win against him. So that I would say is the best GBA moment. I won Season 7 as well. That one was a little more dicey against Envy.
Again, that's the last Pokemon though, dude. I mean, listen. Well, that's pretty insane.
There was 2 plays to win. And I went with the second play. I second guessed myself. So if I had gone with the first play, I think I had a higher probability to win, like 75%. By going with the second play, I had a 1 in 16 chance to win.
You're playing Pokemon, dude.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the plays are, you know, calculated plays, and then some of them, the game's just like, absolutely go yourself, and just dictates whatever the heck it wants. So there's only so much you can do, but you still won. So that is what's up. We all play Pokemon. We know what we're signing ourselves up for. So
that's the thing. If we wanted a truly 100% super fair game,
imagine running Scald, you know? Like,
well, I mean, Scald's not a thing anymore in Gen 9, right?
As of right now, like, only one Pokemon gets it. And it's
only
pretty
Volcanion.
sure it's a Volcanion, yeah. So I think with the DLC, though, like, we saw, I can't remember which Pokemon, but I'm pretty sure I saw Pokemon use Scald. We don't know yet. Dating this interview right now, someone's going to be like, oh my god, it was recorded on this time, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. So
just because it's released 2 weeks after recording, guys, new information comes out. It's July 6th.
Okay, way to date it exactly. No,
I dated it, of course.
Yeah. But, yeah, no, I mean, imagine if it was actually calculated. That'd be crazy.
Everyone just needs to know, at the end of the day, we're all happy. It's a game. We're all excited to be here, excited to put out amazing content for all the viewers out there, and just trying to be as entertaining as possible, but the dash of competitiveness in there.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of it, right? This is like the sports version of, you know, Pokemon. So we're going to have a lot of competitiveness, but we're going to have a good time with it too.
Yep, exactly.
All right. So, George, I got one last question for you before we end things off. And it's kind of a deep question. Maybe not. I don't know. Depends on how you answer it. What is one thing you wish you knew 10 years ago?
Stick with your passions. Don't let other people dictate what you want to do. And really focus on what makes you happy rather than trying to please everyone else out there. I've done that in the past. I try not to do it now. So I'm back in the GBA.
That's a passion. There you go. No, that's a good answer though. As somebody that you know, stuck with my gut. You know, I don't want to talk about myself too much. I'm not the one being I'm not the one interviewed, like being interviewed. But I stuck with content creation, and I went with it full time right out of high school. And like, I didn't go to college, and a lot of people were like, "Dude, what are you doing? Like, you should go to college. Like, you should get a degree." And like, I say you shouldn't. I'm happy I stuck with my gut and did what I wanted to do, and I knew it was a huge risk. And I'd say for myself, it's paid off. But at the end of the day, nobody should dictate your passions and your stuff. It's your life, and you should think about things and make sure it's like good. You can make good out of it. I know that it's a risk if it is a risk at all. But at the end of the day, if you're passionate about something, don't let that passion go.
Yeah. I always tell people, be logical with your decisions, but make sure you're happy. That's kind of like the biggest thing, is make sure you're happy and make sure that what you're doing is not only benefiting you, well, I guess is benefiting you. That's it. I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else. Exactly. Well, either way, SceptileMC or George, coach of the San Francisco Arcaniners, thank you so much for being a part of this interview. It was a ton of fun, and looking forward to seeing your season this year.
Thanks so much, man. Super excited for it all. And to everyone out there, let's go Arcaniners.
Let's go. All right, take care, guys. Bye-bye.